Control creates the secrecy that it fears. Pressure breeds lies. Clarity and consequence build trust. You push harder, check her phone, or corner her into admitting the truth. But pressure fuels deception. The more you tighten your grip, the less honest she becomes. If you keep trying to force honesty, you'll destroy the very trust you're desperate to rebuild. Imagine trying to hold water in your fist. You want to possess it to keep it from slipping away. So what's your first instinct? To squeeze, to tighten your grip. But the harder you squeeze, the faster the water escapes through your fingers. It's a perfect tragic metaphor for what might be happening in your relationship right now. That desperate need to know, to be certain, to silence that corrosive fear that you are being lied to or betrayed. It makes you want to squeeze. But the very act of squeezing, of trying to control your partner, is the pressure that's forcing the truth, the connection, and the trust to slip away faster than ever. You're caught in a devastating loop, a cycle I call the control-secrecy paradox. And if you don't understand how it works, it will, without a doubt, destroy the love you're trying so desperately to protect. She lies or hides things, and when you confront her, she calls you controlling. It's a maddening, soul-crushing experience. And let's be clear, sometimes your gut is right. Sometimes there is real deception happening. The problem isn't your fear, it's the belief that your control is the solution. Because what if for just a moment we looked at this from a completely different angle? What if your attempt to control her is creating the very secrecy that you're afraid of? You feel that knot in your stomach, so you push harder. You check her phone, you ask pointed questions, you try to corner her into admitting what you just know is the truth. But this pressure isn't a truth serum, it's fuel for deception. The more you tighten your grip, the less honest she becomes. Because you've turned yourself into a threat. If you keep trying to force honesty, you won't just fail to get it, you'll incinerate the very trust you're desperate to rebuild. If this feels painfully familiar, I need you to stick with me. In this video, we're going to pull this paradox apart piece by piece. We're going to look at the neuroscience and the psychology behind why this happens, so you can finally understand the invisible forces that are at play. And if you want to break these kinds of destructive cycles for good, go ahead and subscribe. My goal here is to give you the tools, not just to save your relationship, but to build one that is stronger and more honest than you ever thought possible. Let's be brutally honest about what this looks like. It's 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. A text lights up on her phone, and she quickly flips it over. Your heart immediately starts pounding. Your mind goes into overdrive, turning into a high-speed detective, instantly assembling clues. Who texts this late? Why did she hide her screen? That anxiety is a physical thing, a cold dread that starts in your gut and spreads through your chest. The story you tell yourself is immediate and catastrophic. She's hiding something. She's cheating. She doesn't respect you. So you react. And your reaction is driven by one thing, the overwhelming need to get rid of this awful feeling of uncertainty. You don't see it as a power trip. You see it as a desperate search for safety. The instinct to control isn't born from malice. It's built from fear. Maybe your control looks like an interrogation. Who was that? Let me see your phone. Your voice is tight. Your body language is aggressive. You're not really asking a question. You're making a demand. You're applying pressure. Or maybe it's more subtle. It's the constant checking in. The endless questions about who was at the work happy hour. The passive-aggressive comments about her friends. You think you're building a fence to protect the relationship, but to her, it feels like the walls of a prison closing in. This dynamic was explored by the philosopher Michel Foucault, who argued that knowledge and power are inseparable. Your demand to know what's on her phone is not a neutral request for information. It's an exercise of power. And Foucault's most crucial insight was this: wherever power is exerted, resistance is born. Her defensiveness, her vagueness, even her lies are not just happening in a vacuum. They are a form of resistance against the power you are asserting over her. And what happens next? She gets defensive. She calls you controlling, paranoid. She might even lie, even if the text was completely innocent, just to avoid the explosion she knows is coming. She'll say it was her mom or a work email, a small protective lie to diffuse a bomb. But you sense the lie. Your intuition, now supercharged with adrenaline, picks up on the slight hesitation, the flicker of avoidance in her eyes. And that confirms your worst fear. She is hiding something. So you double down, you push harder. But here's the trap you've set for yourself. If you find something, it proves you were right to be suspicious and reinforces your need to check. If you find nothing, it only eases your anxiety for a moment, but it does nothing to build actual trust. Surveillance can't build trust. It only deepens the suspicion. The argument blows up. You feel more justified in your suspicion, and she feels more justified in her secrecy. This is the control-secrecy paradox in action. Your attempt to regain control and find certainty has just created more secrecy and more uncertainty. You squeezed your fist, and now the water is just a puddle on the floor. You took a fleeting moment of anxiety and, through your reaction, manufactured a full-blown relationship crisis. You didn't prevent a fire. You poured gasoline on a spark. This isn't a fluke. It's a predictable, destructive pattern that once it starts is incredibly hard to stop. It's a feedback loop that feeds on itself until there is absolutely nothing left of the trust it was meant to protect. To break this cycle, you have to understand where it comes from. This isn't just about bad habits. This is about deep-seated brain wiring and the ghosts of past experiences. We have to go deeper than "she lied, so I got mad." We need to look at the machinery running under the hood. Let's talk about your brain. Not the logical, rational part that does spreadsheets, but the ancient, primitive part that's only concerned with one thing: survival. Dr. Stan Tatkin, a leading researcher in relationship neurobiology, developed what he calls the psychobiological approach to couple therapy, or PACT, P-A-C-T. His work is groundbreaking because it treats a relationship not just as a bunch of feelings, but as a biological system. At the core of this system is the brain's threat response, governed by a tiny almond-shaped structure called the amygdala. Think of your amygdala as your brain's smoke detector. Its only job is to scan for danger. And in a modern relationship, danger isn't a tiger in the bushes. It's the threat of abandonment, rejection, or disconnection. Your brain treats these emotional threats with the same life or death urgency. When your partner hides the phone, your amygdala doesn't whisper, let's gather more information. It screams, "Danger! Connection is threatened!" It floods your system with cortisol and adrenaline, preparing you for a fight. This is your fight, flight, or freeze response kicking in. Now, here's the crucial piece. When you confront your partner with pressure, accusation, and anger, you are activating their amygdala. From their brain's perspective, you are now the tiger. You are the threat. In that moment, their brain isn't optimized for honesty or calm discussion. It's optimized for survival. And in a conflict, survival often looks like fighting back. "You're the one with the problem. You're paranoid." Freezing up. They shut down completely, go silent, and can't access their words because their own system is overwhelmed. Fleeing. They run for cover. And what's the ultimate cover in a conversation? A lie. Secrecy. From a neurobiological standpoint, secrecy and deception aren't purely a moral failing. They are a defensive strategy. It's a form of flight designed to protect the self from a perceived attack. The more you come at them with the energy of a predator, the more their brain will code you as a threat and deploy these ancient survival tactics. This is why pressure breeds lies. You think you're demanding honesty, but their brain hears, "You are not safe." And it will do whatever it takes to find safety, even if that means hiding the truth. So why is your amygdala so quick on the trigger? And why is hers so quick to see you as a threat? The answer often lies in our attachment styles, the relationship blueprints formed in our earliest childhood experiences. As Dr. Tatkin explains, these early strategies don't just disappear, they become our default settings in our adult relationships. Let's look at the two key players in this paradox. First, the partner who tends to control. This behavior is often rooted in an anxious attachment style. If you had a caregiver who was inconsistent, sometimes there, sometimes not, your brain learned that you have to work hard and stay vigilant to get your need for connection met. You learned that connection is fragile. As an adult, this translates into a deep fear of abandonment. Uncertainty feels viscerally unsafe. So what do? You try to control the situation to manage your overwhelming internal anxiety. You check their phone, you ask a million questions. You're not a bad person. Your nervous system is just screaming that you're about to be abandoned and is using the only strategy it knows: cling tighter. Now let's look at the partner who tends to be secretive. This is often linked to an avoidant attachment style, what Dr. Tatkin sometimes calls an island. If, as a child, your need for help was met with criticism or dismissal, your brain learned that needing people is dangerous and self-reliance is the only true safety. As an adult, this person appears independent. But when faced with pressure or a partner's intense emotional demands, their childhood programming kicks in. Your need for reassurance feels like an invasion. Your questions feel like an attempt to control them. So what do? They retreat to their island. They become vague, withhold information, and keep secrets. They aren't just hiding an affair, they are hiding themselves. Your attempt to get closer feels like an attack, and their secrecy is their shield. When an anxious partner and an avoidant partner get together, it's the perfect storm for the control-secrecy paradox. The anxious partner's fear drives them to pursue and control. The avoidant partner's fear drives them to withdraw and hide. The more one pursues, the more the other withdraws. It's a tragic dance where both people are just trying to be safe, but are using strategies that make the other feel profoundly unsafe. We're getting into the real guts of why this painful cycle happens. If this is starting to connect the dots for you, do me a favor and hit the like button. It helps me know this is valuable and helps other people stuck in the same trap find this video. Living inside this paradox isn't just stressful, it's corrosive. It slowly eats away at the foundations of your relationship and your own sanity. First, the obvious casualty: trust. Trust is the bedrock of a relationship. It's the belief that your partner has your back. The control-secrecy paradox acts like a jackhammer on this bedrock. Every time you check her phone, you're screaming, "I don't trust you!" And every time she lies to avoid a fight, she confirms your belief that she can't be trusted. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You're substituting surveillance for trust, and they are not the same thing. Surveillance is about verifying. Trust is about letting go of the need to verify. The cycle systematically dismantles any possibility of genuine trust. Second is the emotional toll, and it's huge for both of you. If you're the controlling partner, you're living in a state of constant hypervigilance. This leads to chronic anxiety, stress, and exhaustion. You're never at peace because your sense of safety depends entirely on someone else's actions. You've outsourced your emotional well-being, and that is a terrifying way to live. For the partner being controlled, the experience is just as damaging. They feel suffocated, disrespected, and constantly judged. Walking on eggshells becomes their new normal. This environment erodes their self-esteem. Keeping secrets, even small ones, carries a huge mental load. Research shows that withholding information creates its own anxiety and guilt. They aren't getting away with it. They're carrying a heavy burden that isolates them. Finally, this dynamic leads to the death of intimacy. Real intimacy requires vulnerability. It requires feeling safe enough to be your authentic self. But in the control-secrecy paradox, safety is the first thing to go. You can't be vulnerable with your warden. You can't open up to someone you see as a threat. The relationship transforms from a partnership into a power struggle. Conversations become interrogations. Affection becomes conditional. The space that was once a sanctuary becomes a cold, silent battlefield. Think of it like a locked toolbox. Your partner's inner world, their thoughts and true feelings, are inside. When you feel anxious, you try to pry the box open with the crowbar of control. But the more you force it, the more they double down on the lock. The only way to get inside is to create enough safety that they want to share the key. Your pressure just convinces them to bolt it shut forever. So, how do you break this cycle? The answer is both simple and incredibly difficult. You have to fundamentally shift your goal. The goal is not to get better at controlling or catching lies. The goal is to stop playing the game and create a relationship so safe that secrecy and control become unnecessary. Now, let's address a critical objection. What if your partner really is a compulsive liar? What if they can't be trusted? That is a real possibility. And in that situation, being less suspicious won't magically make them honest. But here's the key: you can't discover the truth by being overbearing and insecure. Constantly checking on them won't change who they are. It only reinforces the toxic dynamic. The only way to know if your relationship can be saved is to change your own approach. By creating safety, you are conducting the ultimate test. Either your partner will respond to that safety and begin to open up, or their deception and secrecy will just become even more clear in contrast, and you'll have your answer. In either case, your path forward becomes clearer. With that said, Dr. Stan Tatkin argues that couples must create a couple bubble, a shared ecosystem where the main rule is protecting the safety of the relationship above all else. This means shifting from me versus you to us versus the problem. The problem isn't your partner, it's the cycle. Here's how to start. Principle 1, from pressure to clarity. Stop demanding and start stating. Pressure is an attack. Clarity is about calmly expressing your own feelings. Instead of, "Where were you? Who were you with? You're lying!" Try this. When you come home late and I haven't heard from you, I start telling myself a story that something is wrong or that I'm not a priority. That makes me feel really anxious and disconnected from you. See the difference? The first is an accusation. The second is an I statement that invites empathy instead of defensiveness. It's not about making them wrong. It's about revealing your inner world. Principle 2, from control to consequence. You can't control another person. You can only control yourself. This means shifting from managing their actions to establishing your own boundaries. A consequence isn't a punishment. It's the natural outcome of a boundary you hold for your own well-being. Instead of, "You are not allowed to go out with that friend anymore." That's control. Try this. I need to be in a relationship built on trust. I can't stay in a dynamic where I constantly feel I have to worry about secrecy. If we can't find a way to communicate openly and build that trust, I'll have to seriously reconsider if this relationship is healthy for me. This is incredibly empowering. The focus is no longer on policing them. The focus is on what you need to feel safe. You're taking your power back by being willing to protect yourself, rather than trying to change them. Principle 3, regulate yourself first. This is the most critical step. You cannot have a productive conversation when your own brain is hijacked by fear. When you feel that surge of anxiety or anger, your first job is to calm your own nervous system. Recognize your triggers, and when they get hit, take a strategic timeout. This isn't storming off. You communicate it. Say, "I'm feeling really overwhelmed right now, and I know if I talk, it won't be productive. I need 20 minutes to take a walk and calm down. I promise we will come back and finish this when I'm in a better headspace." This act alone can stop the cycle in its tracks. By learning to self-soothe, you take back control of the only thing you actually have power over, your own emotional state. These 3 principles are the bedrock for breaking the control secrecy paradox. The control secrecy paradox is one of the most painful dynamics a relationship can face. It turns 2 people who love each other into enemies. But it does not have to be a life sentence. Understanding that this cycle is driven by primitive brain wiring and old attachment patterns is the first step to freedom. It allows you to see the dynamic for what it is, not a sign that your partner is evil or that you are crazy, but a predictable pattern with biological root. The way out isn't through more control or becoming a better detective. The path to a secure, honest relationship is paved with safety. It starts with you. By learning to regulate your own nervous system, communicating with clarity instead of pressure, and holding your own boundaries instead of trying to control theirs, you drop your end of the rope. And when one person drops the rope, the tug of war has to end. You have the power to stop the cycle. If this video opened your eyes to the dynamic in your relationship, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the follow-up on how to rebuild. And now I want to hear from you. This is a tough topic and you are not alone. Share your experience with the control secrecy paradox in the comments below. Let's start a real conversation about breaking these cycles together.